welcome to Serena Speaks, and in this video I'm going to go over the different types of patients that you may come across in a community pharmacy setting. More specifically, the different types of challenging patients that you may come across. Now, these are definitely patients that I have encountered. I'm sure there'll be patients that you have encountered, and if you haven't encountered them yet, then you're in for a treat. So the first type of patient I'm going to go over is the type of patient who is scared to do an MUR. So even after you explain what an MUR is, how it will benefit them, that it won't be take up too much of their time, as soon as you give them a consent form, for some reason they start to panic. I mean, yeah, I guess I don't mind. I mean, I don't want it to take too long though, but yeah, I guess we can go over my medicines and stuff. I know how to take everything anyway. Wait, you want me to sign this form? Why do you want me to sign a form though? I mean, what are you going to do with the information? I don't want to sign for this. I don't want to sign anything. I don't want to get all this marketing information. I don't want you filling up my spam box with information. I don't want to be getting texts from you. No, I don't want to sign it. I just don't want to sign it. So for some reason, these patients think that by signing a consent form, suddenly you're going to send out all this marketing material over to them. You're going to start spamming their email inbox, which isn't the case at all. So with these types of patients, make sure that you make it really clear what does happen to their data, what they are signing for, and what they are consenting to. So the second type of patient that you'll be delighted with is the impatient patient. I think it's really ironic how patients are called patients given how impatient they are. But even so, this is the type of patient who probably had to wait and was delayed in seeing their GP for however many minutes, and then when they come and see you, they expect their medication and their prescription to be dispensed and checked straight away. When actually the reality of the matter is it might take about 10 to 15 minutes, and it depends if there's a queue or not, so it may even take longer. Equally, it may take shorter. But even so, you give them a time frame of 10 to 15 minutes and you get to be delighted with their anger and their impatience and their unwillingness to wait. Excuse me? It's going to take 10 whole minutes to do my prescription. I mean, I just had to wait at the surgery for an extra 40 minutes, and now you want me to wait an extra 10 minutes? No, that is on. Why is it going to take that long? That is out of order. I mean, I can see my medication there. I can see it right there. There it is on the second shelf. I can see it right there. Just give it to me. I don't need a label. I don't know why you keep putting a label on it. I don't need a label. It's right there. It's right there. That's the one that I need. I have to wait 10 minutes. Are you kidding me? I mean, all you have to do is stick a label on a box anyway. Why does that take you 10 minutes to do? And yes, I know it's annoying. You've had to wait 40 minutes for extra for your appointment, but don't take that out on us, especially when we say that it might take about 10 minutes for us to get your medication dispensed and checked. Because at the end of the day, if somebody rushes us to do our job, we might then do something wrong, and it's the patient who will then get those detrimental effects. So really and truly, calm down, chill out, let us do our job. Yes, it might take a little bit longer than you were expecting, and for no, we do not just stick labels on boxes. We actually do a lot more than that. We're dispensing, we're checking, we're making sure that this medication is correct for you. We're actually making sure that the doctor hasn't made a mistake, because lo and behold, doctors do make mistakes. And who picks up on their errors? We do, pharmacists do. Who checks on our errors? No one, which is why we can't get things wrong, and which is why we ask that you let us just have those few minutes to make sure to fully be able to focus and concentrate that this medication is the correct medication for you. I once had a patient ask me, because he was getting really frustrated having to wait around for 10 minutes, why it takes that long for his prescription to be dispensed and checked. And it was great because it was an opportunity for me to actually tell him the whole dispensing process and for him to understand why we give such a time frame. And I'm hoping that then when he gets another prescription, and maybe if he goes to another pharmacy or speaks to another pharmacist or pharmacy team, he then doesn't have a go at them for him having to wait a whole 10 minutes for his prescription. I think the recurring theme that you'll see throughout all these case scenarios is that actually a lot of the time these patients get angry because they don't understand fully what it is that we do, or why it is that we do things in certain ways. So actually giving them that advice and educating on them on that can hopefully prevent further altercations or anger from them. So the third type of patient is the patient who fails to understand what it means when something is out of stock from the manufacturers, which means that you can't get it in, probably the pharmacy down the road can't get it in, and probably won't be available for quite a while. Yeah, so I got a prescription. Here. Oh, you don't have it. How long will it take to come in? Oh, there's a problem with the manufacturers. Can't you just like get some out the back or something? Oh, it's not actually made here. Oh, I thought pharmacies like make medicines and stuff. Oh, so like how long will it take for this medicine to come in then? Oh, you don't know. Oh, the manufacturer doesn't know. Oh, right. I don't know what I'm meant to do. Go back to my GP. Alright, I'll go see him then. Thanks. So in situations like this, ring up the manufacturer, find out when the medication will be back in circulation, if the medication will be back in circulation, if there are any parallel imports available, if, for example, the patient, their GP surgery is far, far away, then maybe you can get involved, ring up the GP, find out if they can prescribe an alternative, then send over that prescription electronically, trying to help the patient out really. If though your store doesn't have it, there's no hope, no chance that you're going to get it in, maybe a different company might be able to get it in. So it would be worth advising that patient or even ringing around yourself to see if there's any local pharmacies in the area which may be able to get that particular medication in. Either they have contracts with different manufacturers which supply that same medication, or maybe they just have some old stock on the shelves. But try and help your patient out, and again, give them that advice that it's not your fault. You don't make the medicine. You don't have a special kitchen at the back where you start making Ramipril or whatever else it is. Explain to them that it is a manufacturer that does make it and does supply it, and yeah, just see if there are any other ways that you can get the medicine, and if not, then advise that they do need to get an alternative. The fourth type of patient is a personal favourite of mine, the automatic patient. The patient that believes that medicines and prescriptions magically turn up at the pharmacy because the doctor has a special system whereby they know that Mrs. Jones requires her medication and is due for her medication, so automatically whiz over a prescription to us, and we magically then dispense and check this medication and have it there waiting for Mrs. Jones, because it's all computerized and automatically done, because that's what her GP does. And if we try and tell her any different, then we're clearly the ones in the wrong. Hi, I'm here to pick up my prescription. My name is Geeta Gill. Yeah, I live at 45 The Road. Oh, what do you mean there's nothing here for me? Well, that doesn't make any sense because I'm due my medicines, so I need my medicines. When did I put the request in? No, I don't put the request in. I don't do any request or anything. The doctor just knows to send it over. Like, it's all automatic. What do you mean there's no such thing as automatic? But it's automatic. He just knows when to ping it across, and then he pings it across, and then I come and pick it up. You have to put a request in. What do you mean a request? I don't know what these words mean. Oh, I really don't have time to be listening to this. I just need my medication. So how long is it going to take for you to get my medication? So in some areas and in some pharmacies, the process is that a patient gets signed up to the pharmacy's repeat prescription service. Then when the patient is due for their medicines, the pharmacy team will then send off a repeat on behalf of the patient. The GP surgery will generate a prescription and then send that over to the pharmacy team. They will then get that medication ready for the patient, and in some pharmacies they might alert the patient, send them a text, give them a call, whatever it may be, whatever system they have in place to let the patient know that their medicine is ready and waiting. Now, a lot of areas have actually stopped pharmacy teams doing the repeat prescription service for a number of reasons. Some of the key ones is to reduce medicines wastage, because a lot of the time pharmacy teams will be requesting medications on patients' behalf when actually they've got stack loads of it at home and they don't need any more. And secondly, is it takes away that patient's ownership and autonomy of looking after their health and their medication. And I'm a strong believer in that. I think if you can, as in if you're a patient, then you should be in control of your medicines and you should be in control of your health. It's so important that patients know what medications they're on and what they are taking it, how they are taking it, and why they are taking it, what conditions they are taking it for. And I think if then you put that control of when they're due their medication into someone else's hands, such as a pharmacy team, they're taking away that responsibility. And I don't think that's right. I think patients should be responsible for requesting their own medication. Now, I do understand that there are some exceptions to that. For example, with some elderly patients, housebound patients, patients who can't easily get in contact with the GP, then fine, fair enough, pharmacy teams should get involved. But I think in general, it should be down to the patient to do their repeat prescriptions themselves. And it's not automatic. And I don't know where patients have got this word from. I don't know if it's, for example, when a pharmacy team is setting up a patient on a repeat prescription service that they do in store, if maybe then they're using this word automatic. I have no idea. But I have had so many conversations with patients explaining to them, this is not automatic, it's a manual process. Whether we put the repeat prescription in for them or they put the repeat prescription in, someone has to put a repeat prescription in. The GP isn't just going to magically know that, oh, Mrs. Jones is due for her medication, I better whiz over a prescription over to the pharmacy. They've got so much on their plate, they don't know that. They need a repeat slip, whether, as I said, that's from us, the pharmacy team, or whether that's from the patient themselves. But there is no automatic. Get this word away. I hate the word automatic. In keeping with this automatic theme, you'll get some patients who think that if they hand in a repeat slip, then magically the doctor's going to straight away do their prescription and it's going to be ready and waiting by the time that they come to the pharmacy. If they, for example, the GP does electronic prescriptions. No. It takes 48 hours, and again, and that's minimum 48 hours, and again, that is something which needs to be reiterated to patients, especially if they're new to the whole repeat prescription service, or they themselves are on a new medicine which is maybe a long-term medication and they don't really know how they're meant to go about getting more of their medicines. You have to remind them and stress out the importance that they do hand in a repeat slip when they're nearing the end of their medication, not when they've completely finished their medicines. I usually say about 7 days before they're about to run out of their medication is usually sufficient time for a GP surgery to generate a prescription for them, but at least give the surgery 48 hours. It doesn't happen straight away. Just because you hand in a repeat slip into the surgery doesn't mean that by the time you walk over to the pharmacy, the prescription's going to be ready awaiting. And again, I've had this situation happen to me with patients so many times. And the other thing I don't understand is that a lot of patients who are on, say, repeat prescription services, they've been on it for years and years and years. So how is it that it's only when they come across you and when they see you that suddenly they find out that, oh, this doesn't just happen straight away, or oh, this isn't automatic. I don't understand how they don't know when they've been on this medicine or they've been on this system, on this repeat prescription service system for years and years, that they don't know how it works. So again, I can't stress out the importance that when you're signing up patients to repeat prescription services, because that is something that you do in store, in your particular store, for example, that you tell them exactly how this process works. And if they're a patient of yours for years and years, maybe worth having that conversation with them too and inform them exactly how this system and this repeat prescription service does run. So the fifth type of patient I'm going to talk about is the ones who demand an emergency supply. I've come in for an emergency supply of my metmorphin tablets and my amlodipine tablets. I said my metmorphin tablets and my amlodipine. I'm running low, and I've completely run out, and therefore I need an emergency supply. I know my doctor's surgery is open, but I have no time. I am way too busy to go and walk all the way at the end of the road to my doctor's surgery and ask for a prescription. I mean, that is just way too much time for me. I don't have time to do that. Therefore, I need an emergency supply. Oh, your system says that I should still have a few tablets left. Well, yes, I mean, I do have a few tablets left, but I'm actually running very low. Therefore, I need an emergency supply. Again, I usually find these with patients who have been on medication for years and years and years and years. So why is it, when you know what the process is for your repeat slips, that you've left it to the last minute to then panic, not have any medication left, and then demand an emergency supply? Or actually those that end up lying to you, and you realise that they're lying to you because they say they have no tablets at home, but actually as you keep talking to them, it soon becomes real that they've got like a whole strip left at home. It's just they're already panicking, and so demand an emergency supply. There are rules and regulations on what situations we can and can't give an emergency supply. Use your professional judgment. A lot of the time I found that it's patients who just can't be bothered to go to their GP surgery. It's not that they can't go to them, it's not that it's really, really far away, it's just they can't be bothered. So because you can't be bothered to do something doesn't mean that then I'm going to do something which I shouldn't be doing, i.e. giving you an emergency supply in a situation that doesn't warrant as an emergency just to get you out of the store. Like, it doesn't work like that. I've even had a patient nearly slap me because I've refused to give him an emergency supply because it was for something which he could easily buy, and also his surgery was just round the corner, but he just couldn't be bothered. That's all it came down to. So use your professional judgment. Be strong when you have to deal with patients like this, because they can usually be the ones that actually are very aggressive, so you do have to be very firm. And again, it comes down to educating your patients on situations that you can and can't give an emergency supply with, and giving an explanation as to why you won't give them an emergency supply in this situation. It is also worth giving them that crucial advice on how they can get their prescription, especially if they have run out. So for example, ringing up NHS 111, going to a walk-in centre, going to your GP surgery, whatever it may be, whatever the situation may be. But do signpost your patients to the correct places. Don't just flat out refuse and be like, nah, I'm not giving you an emergency supply, without signposting them to the right places where they can get what they need. But like I said, don't, just because someone's being really aggressive at you and because they're being really angry at you, don't feel like you have to then give in to their demands and give in to their needs. At the end of the day, you could be the responsible pharmacist in that particular pharmacy, so it's your name on the wall. So use your judgment, use your discretion, and don't feel bullied into having to give someone an emergency supply or give in to their demands because they're being aggressive and shouting the loudest. Just because someone shouts the loudest doesn't really mean what they're saying is actually sufficient. So the sixth type of patient is the patient who gets angry at you because the doctor refuses to prescribe them something. I'm just so angry, man. I just had to wait ages to go and see the doctor, and even when I was with him, he didn't even give me a prescription. He said that he can't give me anything on prescription and that I should come to the pharmacy and come and see you, and that you need to come and give me something. I've got a really bad back, I find it really hard to walk, it hurts a lot, I'm wound up because that guy didn't even give me any medicines or any painkillers, so I'm coming to you. You need to give me some painkillers because this hurts, man. I'm so angry. Now, I understand you go to the GP, you want them to be able to fix you, essentially, and when you don't come out with a prescription for some magic medicine that's going to make you feel completely better, you might feel really disheartened. Or if the GP just says to you, buy it over the counter, and you don't usually pay for your prescriptions, again, you might feel disheartened. But let's put it into perspective. Something like paracetamol, a small packet of paracetamol, is available for less than £1 in most places. Here's an interesting statistic for you from the NHS website. A packet of 32 tablets of paracetamol prescribed on an NHS prescription can cost as much as £34. That's £1 versus £34. It's no wonder that GPs are going down the route of stopping prescribing medicines for short-term and minor conditions. The NHS can save over £190 million a year if GPs and doctors stop prescribing medicines for minor ailments and for short-term conditions, for example, for coughs and colds. And for patients who usually get the medication for free, guess what? Nothing in this world is for free. It's taxpayers who are then allowing you to have those free medicines. So yeah, you might be really, really angry that your doctor won't let you have paracetamol on a prescription, but actually in the long run, you're helping the NHS. £1 versus £34. I once had a patient ring me up and she paid for her prescriptions, but she asked me, can I put a request for ibuprofen on her mother's prescription because her mother was elderly and didn't pay for prescriptions, and that way she then wouldn't have to pay for ibuprofen. I had the great pleasure in telling her that no, I will not be doing that, and that is illegal and that is very, very naughty, to which she then put the phone down because she realised what she had asked for was completely out of order and completely and utterly wrong. Can't stress it enough. £1 versus £34. And those patients who shout at you that they have to pay for their prescriptions. So in England, for an NHS prescription, you have to pay for it. Unless you're part of the exemption criteria. Every April that goes up by about 20p. So whilst making this video, currently that stands at £8.80. I have to pay for my prescriptions, and yeah, it's not nice having to pay for certain bits and pieces, but again, put it into perspective. Sometimes that medication that you might be prescribed might actually be worth £20, £30, even £100, but actually you're paying £8.80 for it. So when you put it like that, it doesn't seem so bad either. And I'm not talking about patients who have long-term conditions and where actually it will be really beneficial for them to have certain medication, which yes, is available and affordable over the counter, but actually they need it on prescription. I'm not talking about those patients. I know with every situation there is some exemption to the rule. But for those patients who want to bombard their GP and demand that they prescribe them paracetamol because they can't be bothered to pay for it, to pay less than £1 for it, those are the ones that I find very, very hard to have sympathy for. And I'm just being real with you. So the seventh type of patient is the one who gives you the wrong name. Doesn't mean to give you the wrong name, but they give you the wrong name. Hi, I've come to pick up my prescription. My name is Bradley Morrison. Yes, Bradley Morrison. I live at 123 The House, The Road. Oh, you can't find my details? It should be under Bradley Morrison. Oh, it might be under my other name, Henry Morrison. Bradley's my middle name, but everybody calls me Bradley, so I thought you might just have Bradley on your system as well. No one really calls me Henry, except for my mum when she's telling me off. But yes, otherwise it's it might be under Henry. Oh yes, you found my prescription. That's good. That's good. I mean, come on. Why on earth am I going to know that you go by a different name, or that people give you a nickname, or that actually you go by your middle name? And you would be so surprised how many times this has happened, where I ask somebody what their name is, they give me a completely different name, I don't know that that's actually not what their name is, we struggle to find their prescription, and actually only afterwards they're like, oh, well this is my actual official name. You could really save us a lot of time if you give us your full official proper name. My advice, try and ask your patients what is the name they signed up to when they were signing up to their GP surgery. What is the name that they gave them? Because if it's an electronic prescription, chances are that the name that they signed up to at their GP surgery is the name that's going to then come onto your system when their electronic prescription comes through. Fun times. I know. So the eighth type of person is the one where, for example, it's a tourist and they come to England for a holiday and they don't understand why you can't sell them medication which they can typically buy over the counter from their country, but actually is a prescription only medication here in England.
Hello there, I would like to buy some amoxicillin antibiotic capsules, please. No, I don't have a prescription, I just want to buy it. I need a prescription, really? Because in my country, we don't need a prescription. You just go to the pharmacy or the chemist and you just buy. I can't do that here.
How very strange. I get it. Different places have different rules and regulations, and yes, England probably is a bit more stricter than other places, or actually a lot stricter than other places, but just because you can get a prescription only medication over the counter in one country doesn't necessarily mean you can get the same from another country. And something like antibiotics, I actually think it should be a global notion where worldwide it should be a prescription only medication, especially as it is predicted that a lot of antibiotics will stop working, and that's a very, very scary thing, and so we need to protect that as much as we can. So again, it's about signposting patients, particularly if they're from another country and they need a particular medicine, which we only do as a prescription only medicine. Signpost them to the right places, so NHS 111 or a walk-in centre, and again educate them that actually you can't buy this over the counter here, you will need a prescription for it. Number 9 is the patient who can only have the branded product, not the generic, because they're allergic to the generic.
Hiya, I have a prescription. I usually get this prescription from here every month or so. But last month you actually gave me a white box instead of my blue one, and I think the blue box is a branded one, so I was wondering if I could have that one again, please. Because the white box, last time, it gave me this rash right over here. It was like this big. So I don't really want that. And it must have been because of that medicine. So I just want the blue box, the branded one. I want that one, please.
So if a patient comes to you, and I've had this happen to me, and that they say they get a little red rash from taking a generic product, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're allergic to that particular medicine. Yes, allergies can vary from sort of small allergies to anaphylaxis, let's say, but a little red dot from taking a generic product one time, I don't really think that warrants as an allergy. And a lot of the time patients only want the branded product because they think it's branded, therefore it's better. But again, it's about making our patients understand that the same active ingredient that is in that generic product is going to be the same active ingredient in that branded product. So, and that they both had to go through the same medicines regulations to get to the market. So they're both safe to take. Just because something is branded doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. And the 10th patient is the one who likes to talk a lot.
Oh, hello, dearie. Isn't it such cold weather we're having at the moment? How I do miss the warmth and the sunshine, the sun beaming down. Speaking of suns, remember last week I told you that my son moved to New Zealand? Well, he said he's all settled in now, but I do miss him just so very terribly. I mean, I understand he had to go out there because his wife got a job out there, but to be honest, between me and you, I was never really that fond of her. I mean, my son is such a beautiful boy. He could have any lady, any girl in the world, and he went for her.
When you're working in a very busy, fast-paced, high-paced environment, the last thing you want is a patient to then slow you down and start talking to you about the weather or road traffic or something that may seem really meaningless to you. But actually that conversation may be a very important one for the patient. Because I used to find, especially with elderly patients, that interaction that they have with the pharmacy or with the pharmacy team is maybe the only interaction that they'll have with people the whole day or even the whole week. That's the sad truth. And so, whereas to you it might be like, oh, I really can't be bothered to talk to Mrs. Smith today because I have 1,000 other things to do. Actually, for Mrs. Smith, that might be a really important interaction that she has with you, because like I said, there may not be anyone else that actually she gets to talk to for that day. So make time for patients like these. Yes, it's very much easier said than done, especially when you're working in a busy environment. You have a million things to check over, you have all these different services to do, but ensuring that you keep those very special relationships and rapport with your patients, and making sure that you do check up on how your patients are doing through these kind of conversations, and letting them have those what may seem meaningless to you but actually really important conversations to them, allowing them to do so, they'll actually really appreciate you for doing that. Think about the patient that's in front of you, and don't always try and dismiss them because you feel so busy or you are so busy. And like I said, I know it's easier said than done, but those importance that you have with those patients, those conversations that you have, they are very important to them. So when you can, if you can, try and make time for them. So these are just some of the patients that you may come across. Maybe you've already come across them, certainly patients that I've come across. And I don't want it to take away from all those lovely patients that you probably do have, certainly lovely patients that I used to have, and the strong relationships and rapport that you can have with them. This video is just meant to be in jest, so please don't be offended by it. But I hope it does showcase to you the challenges that sometimes you may be faced with, and actually how to respond to them. So signposting your patients to the relevant places, giving that essential advice, and educating your patients. So I find that whenever I'm the customer in, say, a restaurant or a shop, I feel like I'm extra nice to the people that work there, because I understand what it's like to be in their position, and that most likely they've had to deal with a challenging person, if not that day, then most certainly that week. That's kind of the sad reality of it. So if you happen to be a customer or a patient, please be nice to your pharmacy teams. Please be nice to anyone that works in retail, because we really do appreciate it when you give us that little bit of time and patience so that we can do our job to the utmost best that we can. So I hope you liked this video, and if you did, why not give it a thumbs up? Share, like, subscribe. Do also visit my Facebook, Instagram and Twitter page, and until next time, thank you for watching.